This is the last call for fantasy football. Welcome in on this glorious Monday afternoon, 7 p.m., September 16th, 2024, recording before the Monday Night Football game tonight between the Eagles and the Falcons. As always, it's myself, Kyle, and Justin here to recap week two. What did I say?
You said myself, Kyle, Justin, or hold on.
I
Myself,
said myself, Kyle, and Justin.
yeah, you said myself, Kyle, and Justin.
Yeah, like introducing, like myself, Kyle, and Justin. Because if I just say
Uh,
that's what I meant, and that's what I
well,
said.
okay. I guess normally you. I feel like you should. It's Justin and I, but
Whatever, man. They know who it
whatever,
is.
whatever. I
Kyle and
thought you
Justin.
made a funny in that. I mean, you kind of did, but it's funny.
Whatever. This is the last call of fantasy football. Kyle and Justin here. Myself, Kyle. To recap a glorious and injury riddled week two of fantasy football. How we feeling?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was more exciting than week one, at
The,
least for fantasy.
yeah, there was some huge performances. Um, Tight ends still don't plan on playing football this year.
Yeah.
I
But I would
mean,
say a lot of disappointments as well, as far as like people you just thought were going to be world burners this year, and they're just not performing. So hopefully, this upcoming week, some of those people take off, and we can have some more fun.
well, we're missing a ton of people coming up. Just off the top of my head, AJ Brown's not playing tonight. Um, Cooper Cup is set to miss an extended period of time, says
Oh,
Sean McVay, with IR a possibility. So I
wow!
hate that for me.
Did not
Joe
know that.
Mixon got rolled up last night, expected to miss some time. I mean, there's injuries all over the place. So hopefully your team escaped. My team escaped week one. It did not escape week two with Cooper Cup and Joe Mixon. But I'm sitting here looking pretty going into Monday night, only down by 5 points with Jalen Hurts and Young Wei Koo, my kicker, left. And my opponent is done. So,
Yeah.
Timmy, suck a dick.
So Timmy's hoping for a weather delay that never ends,
No, he's waiting for a DeMar Hamlin.
or yeah, something like that, where they cancel the game and
Oh, God, I'll be so
send
pissed.
everybody home.
But it was a fun week. I am looking, like I said, I'm looking good. Justin is not looking good. His main league, his team is
Yeah,
set for 0-2
I
start.
this is a bad start to the season for me for a lot of reasons. The we'll just start off with college football. Florida State's 0-3.
That's we didn't
The
have to
Colts are
bring that up.
now 0-2. My fantasy team's probably going to be an 0-2,
He needs 28 points from Bijan tonight, so it's not impossible, but he needs a
and
heck of a
everybody
game.
I placed has lost by one player.
Yeah, one
Every
leg on the
parlay,
parlay.
and it's been like one of the ones you would think would hit.
Yeah, so it's a rough, been a rough couple weeks for the Curry household for football. At least my fantasy team is set to be 2-0 because, like you said, the Florida State Seminoles are 0-3 and look as dog shit as ever, and my Denver Broncos are 0-2. So I have fantasy to save my sanity to start this NFL year. But we got a fun show today. We're going to recap our guarantees and our back on track and downhill from here players, how they panned out versus our predictions or guaranteed, even though some were not into my favor. Come the first half of the early
I don't even
games.
know how I did, so I'm excited to see or hear that.
Oh, well, that's on you, brother. You're going to have to bring those up. So you better start looking it up. I only wrote down mine. So,
Oh God.
um, anyways, we can rehash it. But yeah, so I guess I'll just start with mine. The results were mixed to somewhat negative. I did not predict the best this week. start off with the back on track players, the players that I thought were going to improve from their week one performance, and they kind of did. So, first one, I said Mark Andrews was going to be back on track. He finished the game with 5 targets, 4 receptions, 51 yards. At tight end, 51 yards.
Yeah, it's fine.
Like that's fine. It's not.
I'd say it's back on track. It's just not anything to call home about.
Right. The allegations of Isaiah Likely being the number two, being the number 2 wide receiver option, he's going to cement himself as that. He did not. He was still involved. He only had a couple grabs for like 27 yards. But it was a really weird offensive performance from the Ravens. They got beat by the Raiders, which I don't think anyone expected at all.
Yeah, I saw Zay Flowers had 11 targets, which is kind of a little outside the norm for him.
Mean, the first 2, he's like I think top 5 in the NFL in targets, total targets so far. I mean, he is everything to that team. So he's solidified as the one. Technically, Rashad Bateman had more targets than Isaiah Likely, but we know what the vibes are. So, second, my back on track, which one was a success? Green light. Marvin Harrison, the Mr. Boy Wonder, came out swinging. First 2 receptions were 2 bomb touchdowns, and he looked as advertised. So he only had 4 receptions for the game after that, and I saw he was talking to the media and said like, "Hey, congrats on the great stat line." And he's like, "Yeah, I noticed Kyler Murray had 4 incompletions throughout the whole game. All 4 were to me. Like that's not okay." So that was the first. He didn't mention anything about the stats, anything about the yards. He said that he was targeted on and only caught half of his receptions, so he has stuff to work on. So boys getting in the lab.
Expectations when if you want to surpass your father,
right,
you're gonna have to do something pretty damn spectacular. So
yeah, if this would have happened last week, all would be well in the world, So Marvin Harrison nailed that one. DeAndre Swift did not nail that one, and it's scary time for DeAndre Swift. Nothing to do with his skill and ability and opportunity. Their O-line sucks, and the offense just sucks. But the signs are still there for it to be possible. He caught 4 of 5 targets, so he still got 5 targets, 24 yards, but he was 14 of 18 on the ground. That is putrid. 14 of 18. I mean, the fact that they even gave him 14 carries when he continued to get stuff like that is insane. But no other running back on the team had more than 2 carries. So
I still think he's going to be decent. He's not a player that you were drafting thinking that you were going to get necessarily league winner
right
anyways. So, I think he's going to be just fine for where you drafted him, and it'll be a solid flex because they don't have anybody else they can really lean on in the run game. And they'll probably get some better matchups, here soon for him to kind of bounce back and
the Titans have a fantastic rush defense. They even showed that against Breece Hall. Breece Hall had the good game because he can catch a 26-yard touchdown. But even then, they held him to only rushing the ball 14 times as well, and he didn't have great numbers on the ground. And then it was, if you watched the game last night, it was an atrocity for the Bears on the offensive side of the ball. So for this specific back on track, for him to get back on track, he did not get back on track. But don't give up hope yet. I still think there's some room for positivity. But if the offense can't get anything moving, he's going to be a running back 3 at best. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't start pretty much anybody on the Chicago team right now.
No.
Well, my back on track players all sucked.
Did they really?
Yep, I had Ja'Marr Chase, Amari Cooper, and Garrett Wilson.
Damn, yeah, that was big.
Amari Cooper was the worst of them. Ja'Marr Chase and Garrett Wilson, they probably didn't necessarily lose you the week, but
they just didn't return on the first and second round
draft
value.
Yeah, I think they both had about 6 points, which was all yardage. So it's good to see at least that they are involved enough to where they're getting the yards. because the touchdowns will come for players that talented. Well, we'll see about Garrett Wilson. He's yet to be a touchdown um, getter, but
Because the Jets had no touchdown opportunity last year.
but Aaron Rodgers looked better than he did the last week. So if that progression continues, then hopefully at some point he'll return the value. Um, and then what was your fake news or
My fake news. Oh, downhill from here.
downhill?
Nailed it. Nailed it. Jaden Reed, 2 targets, only 2 catches for 9 yards. He did have 2 rushing attempts. I got 37 yards, so he
Yeah,
at least salvaged something. But when you go from a 30-plus point fantasy game to
yeah,
5, I'd say that categorizes as downhill. And no
yeah.
one in the receiving game needed to do anything because Josh Jacobs ran the ball 32 times and completely gashed the Colts defense. So that was
Yeah.
that was a positive for me. And then the two worst ones on the day, downhill from here. So Ramondre Stevenson and Alvin Kamara did not go downhill from where they were before. Alvin Kamara happened to have one of the greatest fantasy performances of all time. That's a big woof. But um, I I have no words for this Saints team. My even bet the house was
I don't
that
know what's
the
happening.
Saints will get blown out by the Cowboys and Kamara will be inefficient. I was saying that with my chest, and I'll put my hands up and say, hey, I might need to apologize to the Saints as a team.
I definitely thought they would at least be hurt in the passing game for sure. I did not think they were going to be able to throw the ball at all. I thought Micah Parsons was going to be
That
all over
that team
Derek
just seemed
Carr.
to
But
figure it out on offense, and that was part of it. Bet the house that the Saints would get blown out, and they flipped that script, turned upside down, and beat the tar out of the Cowboys. So quite opposite, and he was efficient. I mean, 20 attempts for 115, over 50 or over 5 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns, 3 targets, 2 receptions for 65 yards and a touchdown. He had the longest receiving touchdown of his career. It's like 54 yards.
yeah,
So that blows that I nailed that. But congrats if you drafted the 4th and 5th round Alvin Kamara. He has single-handedly won you 2 weeks in a row. And Ramondre Stevenson, 21 attempts, 81 yards, touchdown, and he caught 2 balls for 9 yards. So like he still had a great game. And they're
yeah. I wish I had
force-feeding him the
Ramondre.
ball.
I told you. I did say in the preseason I had a feeling that Ramondre was going to at least be good for fantasy, even if he wasn't good for the NFL.
Which is true, but even then, the Patriots are 1-1 now, but they took the Seahawks to overtime in that game.
Yeah.
Like the Patriots don't seem to
I
be
mean,
lying down.
their offense isn't terrible with Jacoby Brissett. I mean, which he's always been a capable quarterback. So
Jalen Polk scored his
Jalen
first
Polk got
NFL
his
touchdown.
first touchdown. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As far as your players, I wanted to say, like, me being a Jaden Reed manager, it was promising to see that, like, how involved he still was, even though they only threw the ball like 10 times the entire game. Because they didn't need to use him at all. So I think going forward, he's still a good start.
Yeah, no, and when Jordan Love comes back, my
Yeah,
entire
he's a
opinion
bona
will
fide.
change, you
Oh
know?
yeah,
It's just right now with Malik Willis, who actually didn't look terrible. Um,
no, but I think because the Colts were just trying to stack the box and stop
and it didn't
Josh Jacobs, and they couldn't do that for whatever reason.
but
But yeah, I had for my downhill players, I had Stephon Diggs, which was a hit. I had Ramondre, which was
oh yeah, we both said
wrong,
Ramondre.
and then I had Josh Jacobs, which was wrong.
So we're 2 for 6 to start the year. That's all
Yeah.
right. We're still figuring
okay,
out
we're
these
navigating
teams.
the
We're week 2.
waters.
Most of this is you play the team you drafted. Now after week 2, you start to get some opinions and start to
Start
get
putting
a
those
feel.
trade offers.
Mm-hmm. So we're gonna be there. We're gonna be square, and we're gonna continue to catch some dubs. Real quick before we moved on, I just wanted to point out my bet the house, the one I was the most confident with, that did hit. Kyler Murray finished as a top 3 QB with 4 total touchdowns against the Rams. Granted, he didn't have 4 total touchdowns, but I'm making up for that because he's currently the quarterback one. Quarterback one. So
Yeah.
he was a
I
baller.
know he's somebody that you wanted to draft, but fortunately you took Jalen Hurts instead. I don't know what you were thinking.
To be determined. He plays tonight, and we're gonna come and hop right back on this this episode. So you're gonna see us on the same episode, pre Monday night and post
Well,
Monday night.
if Young Ho Koo and Jalen Hurts don't combine for 6 points, you probably won't see Kyle back on the show.
No, you're gonna click record, and it's gonna be an empty chair right here. You're gonna see me swinging from the rafters.
He's gonna be on that ceiling fan going, "You spin me right round."
Oh, Justin can't see this camera point of view, but yeah. So that was just a little recap from our takeaways, our guarantees. We're going to continue to stack up some dubs. A 30% hit rate will not do for this show. It will not.
Let's hit the bets before we.
Oh yeah. So the bets. So those were our individual point of views that we broadcasted, and we hold the 33% L. But Justin lost all of our bets. So he's prepping his Miller Lite shotgun because our bet Diggs versus McLaurin. I was on the Diggs side. Justin was on McLaurin's side for total fantasy points. And it was a poop versus poop fest, but numbers are numbers. And Diggs was 4 for 37 and McLaurin was 6 for 22. And don't come at me for no PPR nonsense.
There's some strong cans.
Well, user error.
I don't.
We don't do no full PPR in this house. No garbage like that. So I don't care that technically he had more full PPR points. 4 for 37 plus with that yards per reception average for McLaurin. Diggs takes the dub on that, even though they both sucked. And Josh Jacobs, I bet that he will have a better fantasy performance this week against the Colts than he did last week against the Eagles. And voila, he ran 32 times for 151 yards, and he did lose a fumble. So in our scoring format, you get plus 2 points for rushing over 100 yards. So he stayed at that 15.1. But even then, even if he didn't have that, he still finished higher. And the third and final bet that I won was our DFS challenge. It wasn't even close, actually. Kyler Murray sent me to the moon. It was 144 to 98. Kyler Murray was huge for me, in tandem with Marvin Harrison Jr., in tandem with Josh Jacobs, and Jordan Mason, 20 carries for 100 yards in the score. It wasn't close. So
yeah, and I had Goff and Amari Cooper, and Mike Evans, which those 3 players just killed me.
I had Cooper.
I think they
Cup
combined
too.
For maybe 10 points.
Yeah, no, it was rough. But
and I had Cooper Cup, but that was even.
That was a wash. But yeah, so I took the Triple Crown this week. So we're gonna run it back on Thursday on the Thursday show, and we can see if Justin can redeem himself because it's quite embarrassing going over.
Here we go.
Oh yeah. And for people who don't know, Justin is notoriously bad at shotgunning because he says, "It's so cold, my throat hurts." And I can watch my beard grow as he finishes this beer. Uh-oh. The big burp is coming. Is it? Oh, there it is. It's been a while, hasn't it, bud? Oh, damn. It's still going.
That was extremely cold. Ugh.
He's always said it since we were in college. The shotgun is so hard because it gets so cold.
I didn't think about where I could put these cans.
Oh, is he going to make a mess? Whatever. Just beer. It'll buff out.
Yeah. You get into it. Okay.
All right. Well, so since he... Oh, where the hell are you going? He's making a mess. All right. Well, I'm going to move on. We're going to find different... bet punishments, I guess, because he technically should have shotgunned 3 beers tonight, but it's a Monday. I'm not trying to make him chug 3 beers back to back to back, even though he deserves it 100%. So I was saying now that you're back that we got to find a new bet punishment for these. I wasn't gonna make you chug 3 beers, even though I would love to do that. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, it just takes the fun away from it, I think.
although I would gladly entertain the audience while we sat here and watched you just knock 3 back to back to back and just dry
Could you
heaving.
imagine the burps? I'd probably knock the computer over.
uh, Last thing we need is more technical difficulties on our
Yeah,
episodes, for real, for real.
break my microphone for my burp.
All right, so we compiled all of our thoughts into 3 big takeaways for this week. So we're still learning, adapting what is the best way to do this Monday show right after the Sunday. So we're giving it a shot this week. We compiled 3 of our biggest takeaways to leave this week with. Granted, we're still the Monday night game, but I'll start with my first one. Justin, you sent me yours, but I didn't actually look at it. I just
Okay.
but my first one, my boy, Austin Bowers, Brock Bowers. He is in the elite tier of tight ends. That's it. He's in the elite tier of tight ends. Not 9 for 9, 9 targets, 9 receptions, 98 yards, and he was a key point in them winning that football game. Devontae Adams
Yeah.
8 against a good Ravens defense, and they don't win that game without Brock Bowers, so he's going to continue
No.
to be
And
heavily involved.
I actually, if you watch the game, he wasn't even heavily involved in the first half of the game, and he still put up 98 yards by being heavily involved when they needed him to be. So I think going forward, that's just gonna, from the start of the game, he'll probably be more involved, and then we'll have to ease him into games as the season goes along. So, I mean, if 98 yards is in the realm of possibility,
In his second game ever.
in his second game ever, with not even really being, you know, the tight end the whole game, because Mayer was in quite a bit.
He's just
Going forward, he should be a superstar.
yeah, and I've been on the Bowers train. All y'all know it. And Justin lucked out, grabbing him as the second tight end.
And look out, that was a good pick.
Well, it was a great pick, but I'm saying, like, to have your starting tight end go down week 1, to then just be able to plug in a budding superstar and get the tight end 1 on the week this week.
Yeah.
And don't
Didn't
forget,
do too much for me,
in
but
my bold predictions, I said to start the year that Brock Bowers was going to finish top 5 in points per game throughout the year. I'm holding on to that one, and we're going to revisit it at the end of the season. So he's off to a good start.
Yeah.
What is your first takeaway of the week, J-Bo?
mine was that the Colts offense, it hurts me to say, we'll just get this out of the way. The Colts offense will be inconsistent aside from Jonathan Taylor. But I do think they will have explosive weeks.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be a team that if they have a really good matchup, you're going to want to spam the start button on all your Colts players. But I think when they start against a bad defense, which is coming up, I believe we have the Steelers and 49ers. It's 2 hard matchups. It's Steelers and somebody else, and that's not good. So the next couple weeks, aside from Jonathan Taylor, I would be a little sketched out.
Yeah, it just all falls back onto Anthony Richardson. I mean, he's 17 of 34 passing. I mean,
I think
50%.
it falls back on the coaches a little bit as well, because I think they're trying to still figure out what this offense is. I think that they had more confidence in Anthony Richardson than he has been able to
Yeah.
do. I think they thought he was going to be better, more accurate. And so to start the year, they let him just throw the ball as much as he wanted, and it was kind of more of a pass-heavy offense. But you saw the end of last game, they just let Jonathan Taylor cook, relieve the pressure off Anthony Richardson, and they almost came back and won the game. Anthony Richardson had like 150 pass yards in the second half. So hopefully
'cause he
that's what
was-
they do,
he was
because I think they'll be
atrocious.
more consistent. But
He was atrocious to start the game. He was negative points at halftime. Like, I mean, he was just, it was not good. And I watched that game pretty closely because I was checking out Josh Jacobs and wanted to see how that looked. And that's the point. There is it's going to be inconsistent, but you are going to have games that Anthony Richardson is going to do like what he did last week. And if you look at it, the stat line from yardage perspective is not that different from what he put up last week. He had 212 passing yards last week, 204 this week, 56 rush yards, but 37 this week. But
Yeah, I just think it came in a
no
healthier
touchdowns.
way.
Well, no, but I mean, just even the total points there. He threw 3 picks too. So if you
Yeah.
transfer some of those um, in intercept or incompletions to interceptions because he's kind of off the rails, you have the opportunity to lose points. So he lost 6 points, and he even fumbled it twice. He recovered them both, but I mean, he
Well,
was
yeah, they were. He didn't fumble it. They were botched snaps, but yeah.
well, okay. But I'm just saying, like this argument's about the Colts offense as a whole, and
Yeah.
that's part of it. So,
Yeah.
all right. Takeaway number 2 for me: the Bills' offense is going to resemble the Chiefs from last year, meaning they're going to spread the ball around so much. They're going to play good, smart football. They're going to run the ball. James Cook with comp to Pacheco. By the way, broken fibula on IR. And there's not going to be a consistent offensive piece outside of Josh Allen that you're going to want on your fantasy team. Just like last year, you're not going to want anyone aside from or in the pass game. And just how the
I was
team
gonna say not James Cook.
yeah.
I was like, I really want James Cook.
No,
right
but
now.
in the same way, I guess I should say passing offense should resemble the Chiefs because
No,
until
I mean it's both because the thing is even I think even Josh Allen you should be a little worried.
I think his upside that he has had for years is gone.
I don't think he finishes as the one this year if they keep playing this way.
No, I mean it the current QB1 is Baker Mayfield.
I think he's well, yeah. I think he's locked in as a top 5 quarterback, but I think you're definitely losing all the upside that came with him by having a good defense and running the ball.
No, for sure. All right, what is your second takeaway?
Nico Collins is the uncontested number 1 for the the wide receiver Texans.
Yeah. I love
He's
the
the-
wide receiver
he's-
Texans.
Nico Collins is the one for this Texans team, and I honestly think he could finish as a top 5 wide receiver.
Big time.
He looks exactly the way he did last year, and
So good.
we all kind of thought like, is this, it was CJ Stroud's first year. We're like, I don't know, like, is he just kind of voluming his way to production? No, I think he's a really good wide receiver, and CJ Stroud is also a really good quarterback, and they're
They're
made for each other.
two insanely good players complementing off of each other. And Tank Dell has not he's not taken advantage of the opportunities he's had so far. And Diggs is Diggs. I mean, I don't think that. I mean, I've still been on the Diggs side. I don't think he's going to go 4 for 37 every week. But when you have someone like Nico Collins who's able to put up, what do you have, 130 yards in the score? Something crazy. And watching him toss that DB in the end zone, like, get the hell off me. Dude's a dog, so I agree. Man, my final takeaway is Mr. Malik Neighbors is an elite talent and will volume his way to a good floor with major spike weeks. You know how many targets
Yeah.
he had this week? Just guess.
Wasn't it like 19?
18 targets.
Yeah.
That,
I
bro. I get preface. It was against the Commanders, who have a god awful defense. We know
Yeah.
this, but this is the spike week. Like, he's going to. So say he gets, 12 targets, 8 catches for 86 and a touchdown, instead of bump that up a little bit more from a bad defense to a good defense. He's still going to give you that, and
Yeah. At the end of the year, I think he's going to be the better person to draft over Marvin Harrison.
ooh, that's spicy.
I just think that they're going to finish so closely that, I mean, you got Neighbors in the 4th or 5th, and you had to draft Marvin Harrison the 2nd. So
Yeah, could have been the better pick just from ADP perspective. And
Yeah.
Malik, if you can somehow trade for him, I doubt you can at this point because he's everything as advertised. But it's going to be a fun ride with Malik. So take us away with the last takeaway.
Yep. My last takeaway is that James Conner is still the dude. Um, I think he's probably the steal of the draft at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
fifth or sixth round draft pick this year, putting up
yeah, I mean,
elite workhorse
he's just
numbers.
still James Conner that he's been since he's been on the Cardinals.
Seriously,
Somehow he's just still getting it done. He's efficient. He gets the volume.
he's so violent
Uh,
too. Like he
yeah,
looks to like seek people out and dismiss them. Like
he's literally Pacheco before Pacheco.
yeah, he moves so angrily,
Yeah.
and he's just he's so involved, and it's a good offense, and he's good with the touches he gets. So enjoy it while it lasts, and wait until he gets injured because it will come. And
How's praying?
I love me some Trey Benson, so I'm hoping it happens. But no, James
I
Conner
did just see a
does look like the
photo
steal of
of
the
Trey
draft.
Benson next to Jared Verse. I did not realize either Jared Verse is pretty short for a D lineman, or Trey Benson is really tall for a running back.
He's 6 foot. Jared Trey Benson is so that's
Well, I don't know.
decently
Maybe it
tall.
was an angle or whatever, but I swear Jared Verse was an inch shorter than him.
No,
Dude, look at the jersey swap. I swear they're standing right
Jared
next to
Verse
each
is
other. So it
six
doesn't.
four,
I
and
don't know. Maybe a few steps behind him. Then
yeah, Trey Benson is 6 foot. Um,
I'm telling you, dude. If you see the picture, I was like, dude, what the? Trey Benson's monster.
hey, he's 6 foot at running back is still a good size. There's not many. I'd say like 5'10" is probably like the 5'9" to 5'10" is like the average for like good chunky
I wouldn't know
meatball
about
running
five
backs.
nine, but yeah, like I would say 5'10" to 6 foot is
I mean, Derrick Henry's the outlier, and
yeah. He's like what 6'2".
he's 6'3", so
Yeah,
and he looks like it. But um, but yeah, I love it. I wish I had any shares of James Conner with Trey Benson on my bench. I don't.
yeah, that would be
Um,
nice.
I know. But those were our takeaways for the week. We're gonna have more as the week progresses, um, especially with these injuries and updates and everything that's got to happen. But we're going to get spicy here with our takes on one of my favorite parts of fantasy football, which is directly correlated. I love looking at my team that I drafted to start the year, and then once the year's done, see how many people are still on my team. It's
Yeah,
maybe one, two that are even on your roster, not even just in your starting lineup. Usually for me. So with this, I'm talking about trade for and trade away targets, people that we want you to go snag, and others that I would be willing to let go for the right price. There's a few on here that you might think, nah, I'm not doing that. Doesn't seem worth
I've
it.
seen your list. You haven't seen mine. There's one person that I'm already upset with you for,
I know
but
exactly who
we'll
it
get
is.
into it.
All right.
No, actually, you don't. You don't.
Oh, okay. Well, my first trade for is the aforementioned person who has not made most of his opportunities is Tank Dell.
That's the one.
I think that Tank Dell is
I don't know
still
why you would trade for him.
because
I think you
he's.
still have to give up quite a bit to get him.
I don't think so. I
And
think that the narrative that you just said that Nico Collins is the dude, which I agree, um, is going to turn people off, can turn off the Tank Dell managers. Be like, look, he's put up two stinkers. You know what Tank Dell had today?
it
Yesterday,
was like
four
1.4
targets,
points.
one catch. He had one catch for -3 yards, but he rushed
Oh
the ball
yeah,
3 times for 16, so he ended up with a positive score. But I think this is a huge buy low opportunity, um, all for the right price. Because I
yeah.
think,
I guess it depends. If you're bought into him still, then sure, yeah.
yeah, I
I'm
think
completely out personally, just because I think there's so many mouths to feed. Nico Collins is a big mouth to feed, and then you've got Stephon Diggs, who is still pretty decent. Joe Mixon, well, Joe
I was
Mixon
gonna
might be
say Joe
hurt, so
Mixon's gonna miss some time, so their run
Tank
game
Dell
might
might
take a
be
hit.
good while he's gone. I'll give you that.
I think it's
But
a
Cam
good
Akers
time.
is going to come in and look better than Mixon, so
Nah, we'll see. Especially because what's his name missed. Damian Pierce missed the game yesterday. So
oh yeah, that's right. I was
hmm
wondering. I was like, I don't remember Akers being the number 2 on that team,
right.
but yeah, that makes sense.
Um, so yeah, trade for Tank Dell if you can. Buy low.
All right, my first one is Jamar Chase. Um,
It's
I
just gonna be
think
hard
this
to
is.
do, Mr. Jamar Chase.
I don't think it'll be. It depends on your league. It depends who has him in your league. He has had a really shaky start. There's a lot of narratives going around that the Bengals are kind of going to suck. Joe Burrow had the injury, um, but he's going to get it together. I think with T. Higgins hopefully coming back soon, and Joe Burrow getting healthier and healthier as the season goes on, he'll get back to the Jamar Chase that we all know and love. And I think right now it's the only point in the season that you're going to be able to trade for him.
Which is true.
I think you can get him for relatively cheap right now for, a number
it's
one
still
pick.
so early in the year that someone
But look
still
at you. You
holds.
got Marvin Harrison for Zay Flowers.
Right, but Marvin Harrison was all promise, was all perspective, and the first showcasing he has in the NFL is dog shit. Jamar Chase has proven that he is one of those ones.
Well,
So
that's true.
Jamar
But
Chase holds
Joe
way more name
Burrow,
value.
the Joe Burrow injury is, if you're playing with people who are, up to date with the NFL and fall injuries and all that, like, I think those are probably the people you want to target for that trade. But
Yeah, I'm into it. My second trade for was George Pickens. He posted a stinker of a stat line against the Broncos yesterday. 4 targets, 2 receptions for 29 yards. However, Pat Surtain got called for DPI on him, I think 2 or 3 times, and one was a 50-plus yard bomb that Justin Fields dropped in the bucket. That
that's about the only thing he's good at.
Not true. That's Sauce Gardner, Mr. Hold King.
No, I'm talking about Justin Fields.
Oh, well, see, and that's my main point on this too, is because George Pickens was supposed to be the alpha on this team, the wide receiver. He's great. Everyone knows he's great. It's just the situation has sucked. It was dealing with Russ. How much can Russ do? I think it's going to be a tough job for Justin Fields to lose if they keep winning, and he's playing well. He doesn't look bad. He has way better coaches around him, and I think that the offense will give just enough, and the other receivers aren't a factor. That George Pickens is a great buy low candidate because he's worth way more than 2 receptions for 29.
Yeah, I like that one, and I think if they stay with Fields,
I like it more.
I like Fields a lot more.
Yeah, because I
think we already saw what Russ could do with Cortland Sutton, and it wasn't great.
Right.
So I'd rather see what Fields can do.
I just don't think
Pickens.
Russ can sustain drives as well as Fields. Fields has the opportunity with his legs to keep. That's the thing with these players, these teams. You need to stay on the field. You need to have opportunity to get targets, and I think Russ is going to do the opposite of that.
Throw a pick.
So, who you got?
I got Xavier Worthy.
I
Obviously, he's been super involved for a rookie in his first 2 games. They're just manufacturing touches for him.
That way, the total touches has been really bad.
I mean, for a rookie, though, the expectations, for me at least, I mean, some people may have been, over the moon, but I had low expectations for him as any Chiefs receiver that gets drafted. And he's been involved a lot more than I thought he would be, to be honest with you. Rashee Rice has eclipsed him, but he's still getting work. They're giving him rushes out of the backfield. And I think with Pacheco going down, this is if he's going to explode,
he might get more rushing attempts. Yeah, and it's
That's
a buy low.
He
he
may be the running back for this team.
Or
Their backup running back is Chase Steele, who is a fullback rugby player.
Yeah.
That's their backup. They have nobody else. So Xavier Worthy very well may be the running back himself. And also I think their only option to be successful is going to be to air it out. So
yeah, it's a big deal. And I almost picked him for my trade for target, but I wanted to get this one on here because this is one that it might be hard to get done, but he's only going to get more expensive as the year goes on. So if you're in, you go in now. It's Jameson Williams for the Lions. 11 targets. 11 targets. He only had 5 catches, but 79 yards and a rush for 15 yards. So they're using him in ways to get on the ball. They like his ability. He is a freak athlete, and he's shown that last week. He just didn't get into the end zone this week. The Lions actually got beat by the Bucs. And I don't think he gets cheaper than this. He didn't score, so you don't have
No.
that inflation of his points. But 11 targets is insane for someone that wasn't a relevant piece on this team last week. So if you can get it done, I would try and get it done now because he's only going to get more expensive going forward.
Yeah, I like that one. I don't know if he's necessarily going to have the season that we want him to have, but I think it's definitely possible. So
Mm-hmm.
go find out. Up next for me is T. Higgins. He hasn't even played this year so far. And when he has played for the Bengals, he's been very good for fantasy football. I think part of the reason that the Bengals offense isn't doing so well is because T. Higgins isn't on the field.
Batman
They
needs
have
his
Jermaine.
Robin.
Yeah, man. I mean, right now they're Joe Burrow is struggling partly because he's got Jamar Chase and that's it. I mean, he's got Jermaine Burton who's looked pretty good, but he's a rookie wide receiver and not even a highly touted one. So
Yoshivas has actually been the better second receiver on that team.
exactly, who the fuck is that? So that's my point. When T. Higgins comes back, they're gonna be thanking their lucky stars. They're gonna be kissing his feet. They're gonna pepper him with targets. People forget Tyler Boyd left in free agency, so all those targets are going somewhere. Probably to T. Higgins.
Probably the Yoshivas.
Their run game sucks, so I
Yeah.
would expect them to pass it more than they have in the past. And if you remember last year, Joe Burrow was having games where he was throwing the ball 50 to 60 times.
Not about 60 times, but close.
It was up. It was probably the highest in the league in pass attempts. So,
Well, that was technically Sam Howell, which is sad. But
oh, yes, you're right. You're right. So,
but yeah. No, I'm just a notorious T Higgins hater, but that's just me personally. But the logic is there.
yeah.
All right, we're gonna finish out with some trade aways, and I wanted to loop in Jameson Williams because my biggest trade away, ain't gonna like it, is Sam Laporta. Boo.
I kind of like it.
I the only issue, so I think Jameson Williams' ascension is the biggest issue with Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta is no longer the number 2 option on this team. They made that clear. They made that extremely clear. He
Yeah.
had 3 targets, 2 receptions for 13 yards today. He, whether it's by scheme where they're taking him out of the game, I think it's prescriptive that he has been demoted to the 3rd option in the passing game. And right now, Sam Laporta still has the name value of the number 1 tight end drafted. Get what you can. I mean, the only caveat to this is you're not going to be able to upgrade much at tight end.
That was gonna be my point.
Right.
Is the only I would say I personally I would not trade him away unless I have probably Brock Bowers or another tight end because I don't think there's another tight end that you can go and get.
Right. But see,
So
it depends on if you want to say you're super light at receiver and you can get
yeah,
an elite receiver for a tight end. If someone wants to show up their tight end slot and set and forget with Sam Laporta, and you can upgrade your team that way, and you want to stream tight end throughout the year, that's
sure.
the only way that I can see them doing that. But what I'm saying is his value is only going to get worse. He still has that draft day value, so now would be the best time to trade him away, and I think he's been demoted. So
I agree. All right, you're gonna hate this, but I think you may agree a little bit. My trade away target is Brian Robinson. He's for fantasy.
oh, we lost you. There we go. He's back.
Okay, I'm back. Did you hear what I said?
No, you said for fantasy.
Okay, but you heard Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay. So for fantasy, he's done okay. I believe he's had around 15 points each week.
Yeah, I think 14 and 15 respectively.
The issue is he's had the 2 easiest matchups for running backs the first 2 weeks. And the first week he only had a good performance because of a touchdown.
Yeah,
And the
he
second
was,
week
what,
he was
12 for 40
efficient.
and 1, 3 passes for 49 yards in week 1.
Yeah. I just think that he is not going to keep this up. I still think I'm not saying he's a bad player. For what Kyle has him for, I think he's great. So, like, for Kyle, I wouldn't say you should trade him away. But I think if you are almost kind of relying on Brian Robinson right now, I would probably trade him away because you can probably get somebody really good right now for him.
Yeah, my issue with that is like I get, he has a lot of value right now because he started the year off hot with 2 good games. It's just he got the ball 17 times and um, has that passing upside in a team where they're not getting the pass game going. So
Yeah,
if you
he
want to
doesn't
capitalize on that
have. I
value,
wouldn't call it upside though.
he
I think his upside is 20 points.
I'll take 20 points a week all day every
No,
day.
I know, but that's like his ceiling. That's what I'm trying to say. Is I like I said, I don't think he's a terrible player. I just think that what he's done the last 2 weeks, he's not going to continue to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's fine. But no one drafted him to be their
Right.
workhorse back. So
No,
if you
but
can
I'm saying
capitalize,
his value is so high right now that
yeah.
you might be able to package him with a Garrett Wilson and go get CeeDee Lamb.
Would you trade Brian Robinson? Well, okay, Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson for Jamar Chase right now.
Would I do that?
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
you'd trade Garrett Wilson and Brian Robinson for Jamar Chase.
Yes. 100%. It depends. I mean, it depends on your team if you
Yeah,
can afford to do that. But yeah, I would definitely would.
I don't think I would do that just yet because I view Garrett Wilson and Jamar Chase very similarly, and they started the year off kind of the same. Um,
I think
and
Garrett
to get
Wilson's
a startable
upside
running back,
isn't up there.
yeah, and that's fine. Um, it's just tough to predict based off what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Um, but
Trust me, I hope not. I hope Garrett Wilson is Jamar Chase.
yeah, yeah, that ain't happening. But we'll see. It's just close. 'Cause to get a startable running back when running backs are so hard to
Yeah.
come by, it doesn't make that much of a difference to lose that player and lose a roster spot and have to pick up someone, to do that. But anyways, I digress. We'll speed through these last two. My second trade away candidate is Michael Pittman. He has some value because, again, highly drafted the first few rounds. He is the target leader by far on the team. You can sell that. He just had 7 targets, 3 receptions for 21 yards. So that's going to be the caveat. It's hard trading someone off of a 21-yard
Yeah.
game. But
I agree with you. I have him on my team right now and I would love to get rid of him, but I can't.
yeah,
I wouldn't get anything back that would be worth, you know, doing.
right. And that's maybe wait for one of those spike games where
Yeah.
he's on the other end of that 60-yard touchdown and then offload him because it's just going to be so inconsistent and you're not going to know when to start and you're not going to be able to rely on it. So and he's the target leader, so he is going to have good games this year. I don't doubt that, but maybe capitalize now while he still has a little bit of name recognition and maybe sell the target point of view.
Yeah. Especially if you need to win now. Maybe your team's
Right.
not doing as good. I would say if you're a team that doesn't even need to start, maybe it's on your bench and that's
Mhm.
okay.
And package him
I
with a
would definitely
trade.
be fine. Well, I was gonna say if you're doing okay without him in your lineup, I would just sit on him because like I said, this is Anthony Richardson's rookie year, so if
Yeah.
he ends up getting it together with those targets, he could be good. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Trade him away if you can.
Yeah, who's your second trade away, my boy?
Mine is Travis Etienne. He is a player that I wouldn't say he has been inefficient as a player, but he just doesn't get a ton of work. Like his stat lines from last year would be, you know, uh, 15 for 50 and 5 for 32. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if you got a touchdown, then you had a great week. Similar to James Cook, the issue is that Tank Bigsby's actually looked actually good this year. He didn't play this last game because I believe he was injured, but from what I read, it didn't seem like anything serious. So I think Tank Bigsby is going to come back and he's going to vulture those touchdowns that made Travis Etienne good. Because without the touchdowns last year, Travis Etienne was James Cook of last year. They were putting up the same exact numbers, or even Javonte Williams if you want to get that nasty. That's what could happen if Tank Bigsby and Brian Thomas come in and start vulturing. Jesus Christ, I can't talk. Vulturing these touchdowns from Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I just
And
looked
he
into the
has had
injury.
2 weeks.
He did play. he just got hurt on a kick return in the second quarter, and he didn't play any offensive snaps after. He did return, but he didn't play on offense afterwards. So
Yeah.
still involved, but no, it's it again. He's just one of those players that's tough to trade and like stomach because you drafted him so high, and
Yeah.
workhorse running backs are at a premium. So if you can maybe package and get a haul, or if maybe you had Jordan Mason, you were able to pick him up and you can slot him in and you can trade 1-for-1
Well,
with the elite
shit.
running
Right
back.
there. Would you trade if you had Travis Etienne on your team? Would you trade him for Jordan Mason?
No, absolutely not. Because once McCaffrey comes back, Jordan Mason is
McCaffrey's not gonna be back for 5 weeks.
that's fine. Your congratulations, you start year 6-0, and then what? Then you don't have a player to finish out your season. I'm saying like if you have Jordan Mason, he wins you all 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden now you have a hole in your roster.
Well, but winning those games, winning 6 games. I mean, you got to win now. If Travis Etienne isn't going to win you games now,
Which makes sense, but it's too much of a short term investment. I'm saying
I agree. It was a bad one, but I just wanted to see what you'd think of. I mean, I guess do you kind of agree with my take on Travis Etienne? Would you be looking to trade him away, or do you think you would just kind of stick it out and see if he can be what he was last year?
I lost my camera. Anyways, we'll keep going. I'll fix the camera. So go ahead with your final
Yeah.
trade away. I'll fix this.
So my last one was Rashid Shaheed, but you took that one from me. So my last one is Kyron Williams, and it's simply because the Rams just lost Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua. All the defense is going to have to do is stop Kyron Williams to stop the Rams' offense, and that's going to be pretty easy to do with how bad this offensive line is for the Los Angeles Rams. So I think that if you can get out on him, he's actually been pretty decent. He definitely hasn't been anywhere near as efficient as he was last year. So I think that was already kind of a red flag. So if you can use what he's done in the first 2 weeks to trade him away and uh, maybe get another running back that has more opportunity, that would be good for you.
Yeah. That's just tough too because he's again someone you drafted so highly. Um, and
Well, that's my whole point though with these guys. That's you drafted them highly and they have these names attached to them, regardless of neither of the players that I've mentioned so far have produced outside of having those touchdowns. And so if you can use their name, you're going to be able to get players that are of the caliber that they were supposed to be in a trade.
Yeah. This damn
Well,
camera.
because would you trade Kyron Williams right now for James Conner?
Kyron Williams for James Conner.
Maybe somebody's kind of like, they like what James Conner's doing, obviously, but maybe they have the health concerns as well,
Kyron Williams for James Conner. Personally, I would not.
You would not do that?
That's just so tough because
Well, I mean, how do you see Kyron doing anything for the next month?
um
I might add that his matchups are also horrendous. Outside of, I believe he plays I think the Steelers and the 49ers.
there we go. I'm back. Um the Steelers and 49ers for who? The Kyron?
Yeah.
I just think that's just so tough.
I don't see Kyron. I don't see Kyron eclipsing 15 points in the next month.
Um
He hasn't even done it so far, but
well, okay, so now realizing that the Rams offense is just decrepit and there's no one on the team, I would rather have James Conner. So if someone's willing to do that, I would do that trade. Conner for James Conner.
Okay.
So, all right, I'm gonna finish it out. Like you said, Rashid Shaheed, extremely explosive athlete, big play guy. It's not sustainable. If you can sell that the Saints are an elite team and he's the number 2 and he has this big play potential, which is true, and if you started him
Yeah.
in a super
I
deep
mean,
league,
he
if
did
you had
last
to do
year.
it, yeah. It's just I think he's going to regress back to the mean. So if you can get 1-for-1 for him, fantastic. If not, package him in a trade. He has a lot of value there. I say ship him out and get someone new.
Me too.
But that's it for our Monday recap. We got a hell of a game to watch in 3 minutes time. So we're going to log off
We
here.
gotta get going.
And it's going to look like a flash to y'all, but we're going to watch a football game here in just a moment. So
We'll
catch you in a little bit.
see you on the other side.
I should have clicked stop recording before I even let you finish that note. No? You're not going to follow it up? All right, whatever. We're out. We'll be right back. And we're back. Post Monday Night Football, Week 2 is done. I came out with my dub. My boy Jalen Hurts did his thing. 13 attempts, 85 yards, and a tutty. And I'm sitting pretty, 2-0. Justin's Bijan Robinson did not get the 28 points that he needed.
Nope. He did good. It was fun to watch, but he just needed to give me 13 more points, and it's a tall task, but he didn't do it for me. So starting 0-2. Trying not to let the tilt happen. Trying not to trade away my whole team. I got to remember that I have Kenneth Walker and Bijan, and that will be enough to carry me at least to the playoffs, I think, when Kenneth Walker and Bijan are both healthy. So I'm just trying to keep my composure, wait for Jordan Love to come back and have Garrett Wilson, Jaden Reed, Kenneth Walker, Bijan. I think if I can just hold myself together, then we'll be all right.
0-2, it's a tough hole. I was 0-4 last year, and
I could win out.
Yeah, I mean anyone can. It's tough to come back from 0-2 when your team's all injured, and hell, half the league is freaking injured. I didn't even realize Deebo Samuel.
I'm honestly not even too bad compared to other people.
No, Deebo's out multiple weeks with the calf strain. Yeah.
Damn, he's on my dynasty team.
Yeah, it has been an injury apocalypse. Tonight's game, AJ Brown didn't play. Devontae Smith looked good, but I mean, Hurts just spread the ball around.
Yeah.
Covey,
the offense just didn't look good in general, though, without AJ Brown.
They definitely looked handicapped on the offense, like for passing. But this game, all right. So we're gonna recap tonight's game. That's why we're here. Log on for 15, 20 minutes, talk about the game. Both teams just decided to run the ball. If not for that last ditch, fantastic 30-second drive by the Falcons.
Stitch.
The last ditch.
Stitch.
It's a last ditch effort.
Last stitch.
It is not last stitch effort.
I think it's the last stitch.
No. I'm Googling it right now.
What the fuck does last ditch mean?
Last ditch effort. A final desperate attempt to solve a problem or prevent a disaster. Ain't no last stitch. Get the hell out of here.
Stitch makes way more sense.
What does stitch have to do with anything?
Like a stitch on clothing or something. Like you're sewing something together, like a last stitch effort.
Can't believe you thought it's been last stitch effort for the past 25 years. Oh my god.
I still think it makes way more sense. What the fuck does ditch mean?
I don't know. That's just the thing. You don't question it. Last ditch effort.
Is it from the war, maybe?
Let's see. What's the origin of last ditch effort? The phrase comes from a vow made by William of Orange in the 17th century to defend the Dutch Republic from France and Britain. He
So what?
reportedly said, "I mean to die in the last ditch." Okay. Yeah. So like you're getting hellfire rained upon you, and that's your last ditch effort. You learned something on Last Call Fantasy Football, and also learned
Yeah.
that this
Learned that
game,
saying is stupid.
well, whatever, you're stupid. What wasn't stupid was the rushing ability of both these teams. Bijan looks incredible
Yeah.
on the ground. He's so quick, and top speed is insane. And Saquon does about the same thing. I mean, Saquon
Yeah.
looks determined and angry every time he touches the ball. Like he fights and
Truthfully,
gets every single yard when he touches the
yeah, I
ball.
feel like Bijan almost looks like a younger Saquon.
Yeah. I mean, they're in that
Just
same category of elite,
yeah.
elite running back prospects to come into the
Well, I
league
feel
that
like it's honestly pretty crazy that Saquon has been able to, like, he doesn't play the same as he used to, but he's still just as effective, which is pretty awesome that he was able to, I feel like maybe he's lost some of his quick twitch
I don't know, bro.
ability.
He snatched the dude's ankles in the hole today. One quick juke, snatches ankles, and gets 8 more yards. I don't know why you think Saquon has taken like a drastic step down. He is still the
I did
exact
not
same
say a
player.
drastic
You
step
did.
down, but he has a different play style now.
No.
He's put on weight and he plays
No.
more, he plays as a bigger back than he used to.
He's
He used to
always
look
been a
like
bigger back.
Bijan, he used to be quick twitch, and he used to fucking juke people out of their shoes, and now he'll fucking lower his head and plow you over.
You misremembering Saquon, bro. It's the same dude.
I'm not. You're misremembering.
Um, but long story short, for fantasy, the running back's fantastic. Jalen Hurts, even, I mean, he missed his number one option, and he still had probably a top five QB finish in a down QB week 2, but still top five there with 83 yards rushing and a score on the ground. What else was there? Devontae Smith, he got the passing touchdown. Didn't have prolific numbers, but if you started him, you were happy. He
Yeah.
did what you needed him to do. Um,
Kirk Cousins looked pretty good towards the end, so that makes me happy that,
he looked
you
way
know,
better. He looked at least like he had some
yeah,
control of the offense today.
he was accurate. He was, I thought so. Like, I heard in the before the game started, they were saying that the reason he wasn't running around in the pocket last week was like a game plan thing because if you run around the pocket against the Steelers, like it's easier to get sacked, and that might have been true. That's what the announcer was saying beforehand, but it might have been true
That's
because
interesting.
he definitely moved around the pocket a lot more, and he actually didn't look bad running the ball at all. He or like not running the ball, but like scrambling.
Yeah.
Like he had a couple. There was a
He
couple
looked
times
like
where
he
he actually
always had been.
scrambled. Yeah, he didn't. Honestly, it didn't look like he had an Achilles injury, other than a little zip off the ball for sure. He wasn't throwing it as hard as he used to, but that's to be expected. He'll get there.
Yeah, the lack of involvement by Drake London was kind of concerning. And I
Yeah,
am going to say something, and I think it's going to piss everyone off that drafted Drake London. I think he's the same player as he was before.
yeah,
He doesn't demand the targets. He didn't get the targets before, one, because the quarterback was bad and couldn't get it there. But I think he also isn't in that tier to where they need to, like, that is the guy. He is the Devontae Adams of the team where he's going to get 10 plus targets a game.
yeah. I feel like we've been saying that all off season. Like that's the whole reason me and Kyle were out on drafting him is he like a player like Garrett Wilson was demanding targets. The offense sucked, but he was all since he's been in the league, he's demanded targets, right?
Hmm.
Drake London never demanded targets
He
ever.
looks great when he catches the ball. Like his after the catch, like his athleticism, you can see it, but it's like it was a great play by the Falcons, and I think they had the Eagles
Yeah.
defense on the ropes at the end of this game for him to get open for that touchdown. So if you
Yeah.
suffered the storm of week 1 with Drake London, I guess it paid off for you because he ended up with what, 50 and a score, which will get you by.
Yeah.
But
I
other than
think you'll
that,
have I think you have more weeks like that than you did last year. So I think in terms of
I mean, he'll be a better player this year than he was last year,
right,
but
right. I think he'll
not at
be
a cost.
fine, but yeah, if you draft him as like your wide receiver one, you're probably kicking yourself right now because
He was
that's not good.
getting out targeted by the likes of Ray McLeod and Darnell Mooney. And I like Darnell
Which
Mooney as
Donald
a
Mooney
player,
looked really good.
and
Yeah,
he is good. We
I've always
we,
liked
we
him
knew
too.
that, but I would have liked to see them put Drake London in a position to have big games, and it didn't seem like they did that. And not to mention Kyle Pitts. Honestly, I was watching him. He was the most integral part of my parlay for tonight that did not hit. Um, he was running routes slow out there. He looked like he didn't want to play football. Like I don't know if the route
Hmm.
concepts that he was running were just slowly developing, but it never looked like he ever had his head back, his eyes back to the quarterback, looking for the ball. He
You
finished the game
know,
with 3 catches for 20 yards, so that's not going to get it done.
honestly, I think the issue is that I feel like they rarely ever line him up as a tight end. So really, he is just a wide receiver, and he's not getting any of the benefit of
No, well they did
catching
today,
defense by.
and I think was half the problem because they just ran the ball a ton. They lined him up at tight end because they were just running 2 tight ends out there and having Bijan punch it down the throat. I was watching every play,
Yeah,
and he was pass blocking and he was out there at run blocking as well. So I don't know. It's just disappointing from Kyle Pitts and all the people that continue to draft him. The season's not over for him. He had a good week last week. He was just not a part of the game plan, which we knew could happen with this team that has ambiguous amount of weapons and Kirk Cousins who likes to spread the ball around. So
yeah.
I don't know, man. It was a weird one. If you had Saquon and had Bijan, you were happy. You got the touchdown by London and Smith. So I guess in all reality, it wasn't that bad. Like no one that you were really starting busted for you.
Yeah, I mean, for tight ends, Pitts even did okay.
No, I mean 20 yards is that's not acceptable.
I mean, bro, 2 points, 5 points, that's not a big of a difference.
3 points will win you a game.
Well, he didn't kill you then.
Eh, I don't know, but um, anything else before we bounce out of here? Falcons choked or clutched up and won the game. I think is an underrated part of that. I thought there was no chance in hell
Yeah.
that they were going to come down
Yeah,
and
that
win the
last
game.
drive was insane.
Oh, speaking
Um,
of last drive, Saquon lost the football game for him. If he caught that
yeah,
just dump off and got the first down, the game's over. And
it wasn't a
incomplete clock
great
stop.
throw,
It hit him right in the hands.
but yes, but he did not throw the ball where he was supposed to throw the ball.
Even if he just catches it and doesn't get the first down, just the 40 seconds that runs off from the clock right there,
Yeah,
that probably wins him the game in itself. So, food for thought. Not like it matters for fantasy, but poor Eagles fans. Oh, that has to suck. I wouldn't know.
that'd
My
be
team's
all right.
0-2. Except for my fantasy
Yeah,
team, and
me
that's
too.
why we're here. But that's it from us. We have a show coming out. We're going to record on Wednesday. Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Record Wednesday, come out
Wednesday it'll
Thursday.
come out Thursday.
Um,
Then we'll
waivers
record
run.
Thursday and it'll come out Friday or Saturday.
Yeah. We'll have waivers come out this week. So pay attention to those, and we'll have another couple of episodes for you guys starting week 3. Hopefully off to a better start than Justin and continuing my great start for me. Anything else? We good? We get out of here?
For your downfall.
You always are. But as always, we're closing it out. YouTube.com/Last Call Fantasy Football. The socials are down there at Last Call Fantasy Football on Instagram. That's where most of our content is. You can follow us on Twitter if you'd like. But nonetheless, don't miss the last call for fantasy football. We'll catch y'all later. Deuces.
Bye.